Hello, guys. Welcome back to episode 14 of our Hack the Box series. Today, we will be looking at the machine called Unified. And so let us go through it. So, the first step is which are the first four open ports. So, let's come here. Before that, let's copy the IP address. Come in here and map, do a fast scan. SV for showing the versions. Paste the clipboard. And let's start the nmap. So it should give us outputs. Let us wait. About 66% is done. All right. We have, yep, these ports. So we have a daytime port open, SSH, BGP, login, IDA, HTTP proxy, and all these sorts of services and ports open. So what are the first four open ports? It's 13, I'm sorry, 22, 8080, 8443, 22, 8080, 22 is open, 8080 is open, 8443 is open. And there should be one more, one service unrecognized despite returning data. If you know the service version, please submit the following fingerprint. All right. Port 8080. Um, Service info OS Linux. Please report any incorrect ones. All right. But we haven't gotten the fourth one. Let's try to use up the hint in ascending order and without spaces. Oh, I mean, that's not it. So there's one, two, three, and yet there is one more that's needed. So let's try removing SV and just do a fast nmap scan. And we find only three ports. Not shown. 97 closed ports. How about if we do -A? That should give us a bit more detailed nmap response. Let's just wait. How about if we submit this? There are only three, right? How about we do NSV and NSC and also a -V for verbose. Scanning three services. Open port 8080 22 8443. and yet there is one more that needs to show up. Nmap done. Read files, service detection performed. MD5 8443. There is 8080, 22, 8080. There is 8443. One service unrecognized, but we do not know the port. One service unrecognized. All right, let's try removing -f and let's see. Discovered open port 8443. There should be one more. Yep, 6789. Great. All right, so let's come here. 6789, and that should be it. Great. So removing the -f was enough for us to get the fourth open port. Great. Now, what is the title of the software that is running on port 8443? So let's go back up. 8443. Title of the software that is running on port 8443. Okay, let's calm down. Let's try checking it here. Nagios, NSCA, SSL certification, issuer, TCP open, SSL, Nagios, NSCA. Check the website title. Okay, so let's come here, copy the IP. Let's paste the IP address in. Okay. All right, so after our Nmap scan, we find out after going into the IP slash, semicolon 8443 slash manage, we come up to this page, which is a username password login page, and we can search up the version number 6.4.54, unify 6.4.54 exploit, to see if there is any exploit for that particular thing. So we have a log4j exploit, which is what we have found. Now, the log4j vulnerability can be exploited by injecting OS commands, which is a security vulnerability to execute arbitrary OS commands. And to determine, in this case, if that is the thing, we can use Foxy proxy. So the answer to this is unify network. All right. Now, what is the version of the software that is running? 6.4.54. And what is the CVE for the identified vulnerability? It is CVE 2021 44228. Let's copy that, paste that in. Now, what protocol does JNDI leverage in the injection? All right, that's the next point. So, Foxy proxy, after making a post request to the login endpoint, to pass on the request to Burp Suite, which will interpret as a middleman. All right. So first, let's attempt to log into the page with the credentials test as we are trying to validate to gain access. Before we modify the request, let's send this HTTPS packet to the repeater module. Article mentions that we have to input our payload into the remember parameter. So JNDI is Java Naming and Directory Interface API. So, alright guys, so now what we do is open up Burp Suite, come under the Proxy Intercept tab, and we open up the browser from Burp Suite, come into the website, and then try logging in using test and test, and we get this request. So we have the similar ones, and we have remember equals false. We can also try it with um, remember me as on. Let's reload the page. All right, let's do test, and remember me can be turned on. Now we turn on intercept, sign in, and we have this. All right. Now we can input the payload into the remember field as shown above, so we can identify an injection point if one exists. If the request causes the server to connect back to us, then we have verified that the application is vulnerable. So let us copy, paste it in with, of course, double quotes, and also we need our ifconfig tune 0 IP-14 So let's just change this 10.10.14.14, and JNDI is the acronym for Java Naming and Directory Interface. It makes API calls. By making calls to the API, the applications locate resources and other program objects. And LDAP is Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, which is open. It's for maintaining distributed directory information services over the internet. The default port for LDAP is port 389. And now we can hit the send button, or just forward it, and we get an invalid username and or password. So all right, after we hit the send, the response pane will display the response from the request. All right. Did not specifically do that. So the output shows us an error message stating that the payload is invalid, but despite error message, the payload is actually being executed. All right. So let's try. Before we go, let's send this to which package? To the repeater module by pressing Control R. Let's intercept on. All right. Let's Control R repeater. Okay. And then, right. So let's come back to the exploit. Let's change this, paste it in, change this to 10.10.10, 14.14. All right, let's send it. And here's the response. And we can see here that, the message is invalid payload, although it's being executed. Great. Now we'll proceed to starting TCP dump on 389, which will monitor the network traffic for LDAP connections. So we open up another terminal and let's type this out. Open up another browser, another terminal, paste clipboard. So it is to start TCP dump. All right. Now the above syntax can be broken down. There's all that's the sudo for running it as root. TCP dump is a program. So it's a command line version of Wireshark. I is for selecting interface and the port you're listening on. Now let us send the request, shows the output. So let's try that out. So if we send it again, and there it is, we get the sequence number and some other details. We get the IP, all right. And now it shows a connection being received on our machine. This proves that the application is indeed vulnerable since it is trying to connect back to us on the LDAP port 389. Now we will have to install OpenJDK and Maven on our system in order to build a payload that we can send to the server and will give us remote code execution on the vulnerable system. All right. So let us just check if we have Maven installed already. We do not. So let's check the Java version. Is 17, which is greater than 11. OpenJDK, which is used. Maven, on the other hand, is integrated IDE, structured jar files. These applications will help us run the rogue Java application, which starts a local LDAP server. So let's get sudo apt-get maven, and yes, that is installing. Now, after the installation is completed, we can check the version of Maven MVN-V. All right, MVN-V. All right, that's great. Once we have installed the required packages, we now need to download and build Rogue JNDI Java application. So let's clone that. Right, great. Menu ls rogue JNDI. So cd rogue JNDI, and we have those files, and then mvn package. All right, it is downloading things, and we should get a build success message. So now this will create a jar file in a target directory called jar. Now we can construct our payload to pass into the jar Java application. All right, to use the server, we'll have to construct and pass it a payload, which will be responsible for giving us a shell on the affected system. So again, let's come back here, and the protocol is LDAP. What tool do we use to intercept traffic, indicating the attack was successful? TCP dump. All right, now what port do we need to inspect intercepted traffic for? Port 389. What port is the MongoDB server running on? All right, check the running processes on the system. Okay, got it. So the build is successful. Let us also go back here, and was there a MongoDB IDA login SSH date time 7? Not really. All right, we shall get back to that. Okay, so we have the build successful. Now, if we go into CD target, we have the jar file. That's great. Now we'll be using base64 encoding the payload to prevent any encoding issues. So, all right, let's try this. Echo bash base64. So we'll be using port 444 to receive the shell. So let's control C that. Come back here, paste clipboard, and so we will be using port 444 and our IP address. We shall be using 10.10.14.14, and we get the base64 encoded. So now, after the payload has been created, start the rogue application while passing in the payload as part of the command option and our TUN0 IP address to the host name option. So echo base64 string and base64 DI. All right, so let's see, paste the clipboard. IP address is 10.10.14.14, host name and the base 64 string, which should, okay, which is right here. Copy selection. Let's paste it there, and that should be fine. Unable to access jar file. Target. Oh well, that's because let's copy this cd back, and now run it, and there it is, rogue JNDI. Great. Mapping LDAP Tomcat. Yep. All right. So now that the server is listening locally on port 389, let's open another terminal and start a netcat listener to capture the reverse shell. All right. So another shell. So nclvnp 4444, and it is listening on that. Oh, 1 second. LVP is fine. Now going back to our intercepted post request, let's change the payload to this. All right, so that we had gotten from here. So let's go back to burp. Let's change this to JND. All right, let's just copy this and paste it in. So TUN0 IP would be 10.10.14.14 Tomcat, and let's click on send. Invalid payload yet again. All right. After sending the request, a connection to our rogue server is received. Yes, that is true. Processor payload. Once we receive the output from the rogue server, a shell spawns on our netcat listener, and we can update. Well, now the server is listening locally on port 389. Let's open another terminal and start a netcat listener to capture the reverse shell. Um, hmm. Sending LDAP resource result. Yep, we can upgrade. Huh? So we haven't gotten any sort of there is, yeah, just that. And so what I think that we need to do is Control C. All right, CD into rogue JNDI, and then start um the netcat listener, and then try sending this again. All right, guys, so we have successfully gotten a connect message. So what we had to do was change there was a space right here when we tried previously, which should not be there. So there should be no spaces. And we ran this command again and then restarted the netcat server or listener. And we get this. Now, in order to get a bash um, CLI command line interface, we run this command, run it, and there we go. We successfully get um, this ls. All right, great. So that works. Now, we'll turn our shell into an interactive shell, and we can apparently navigate to home, and there's Michael, so cd Michael ls, and there is the user dot txt. Great. So we have the user copy selection. We have the user flag. Now, it is time for privilege escalation. Now the article states we can get access to the administrator panel of the Unify application and possibly extract SSH secrets used between the appliances. So first, we'll have to check if MongoDB is running on the system, which might make it possible for us to extract credentials in order to log into the administrative panel. So I think we do that by typing out this command, grep mongo, control C, and yes, there is a MongoDB. MongoDB is running on the target on port. Let's see. Yep, 27117. So what port it is running on? 27117 is the port. What is the default database name for Unify applications? Connect to Mongo and list the databases. All right, now we can see MongoDB is running on the target system. Great. Now let's interact with the MongoDB service by making use of the Mongo command line utility. Attempting to extract the administrator password. So Google search using the keywords Unify default database shows the default database for the Unify application is ACE. So that is the default database. Submit. What is a function that we use to enumerate users within the database in MongoDB? I think it's db.admin.find. So let's try it. Control C, paste. Oh, let's copy this. Paste clipboard. And yeah, that should give us object ID, email, name. All right. So basically, I think it is db.admin.find should be to enumerate the users. Great. Now, what is the function that we use to update users within the database? All right. So the So Mongo is the command line, port is how we mentioned that, and ace eval is a script. So the output reveals a user called, let's just check, name administrator, email administrator, and X shadow. This, all right. So the password hash is located in the X shadow variable, but in this instance, it cannot be cracked with any password cracking utilities. Instead, we can change the password with our very own created hash in order to replace the administrator's password and authenticate to the administrator panel. To do this, we can use the make password command line utility. So password 1234 make password command C. The $6 is the identifier for the hashing algorithm that is being used, which is SHA-512 in this case. We will have to make a hash of the same type. All right. The salt is added to the hashing process to force their uniqueness. So this tells us that's using 5112. That's why we are making a password with SHA-5112. And salt is added, which makes the password more complicated. So let's proceed to replacing the existing password. Okay, so let's first make the password. Let's, I think, open up another terminal, paste clipboard, and let's just use that. There it is. Let's copy this. All right, and come back down. And we use db.admin.update to update it. So db.admin.update, submit. Yep, what is the password for the root user? Okay, so let's change the um, password. Let's copy, paste the clipboard. db admin update id is that set x shadow um, right result upserted modified. Let's redo that. All right, because it seems to have not worked properly. Control C, paste clipboard. Um, huh, does not seem to work. Exit. Nope, Control C. Let's try that again. Let us go back. Let's do that. Get the bash shell again. Control C, paste clipboard. All right, now let's try that again. So it is Mongo port 27117 ace eval evaluate the command, which is db.admin.update. All right, with the ID as object ID this, which should be fine. Let's copy that. I hope it's the same ID as here. Yep, looks the same. Paste the clipboard, close that. Um, close that, close that, and then comma the next one, dollar set. All right, x shadow, x shadow, and now the SHA-5112 encoded password. So copy that, paste clipboard. All right, and close that, close that. All right, another one, and that should be fine. All right. Um, okay, let us hope that it is done. All right. Now we can verify that the password has been updated by running the same command. Appears. All right. So let's Control C that. Paste clipboard. And let's see. So if we go to the top, we shall, it's not changed. Maybe because, oh, that's not the one. It is, yep, here. All right. Now if we come to administrator, X shadow is all right. So maybe object ID, it is the same 4784 evaluate db.admin.update. However, it hasn't seemed to have worked because it just shows SHA-5112 hash generated. So let's try that again, which is this command Mongo port. Yeah, this one. All right, let's copy. I hope we are doing it right. Object ID. Seems to be fine. However, doesn't seem to work. So, all right, copy. Let's try that again. Paste clipboard. It still says it's not right. So, all right, guys, we have successfully run the command, and now let us check if it has changed successfully or not. So let's come here, copy, paste, and let's go back up to administrator object, and yep, it seems to have changed. Great. Now we can sign in to this administrator with password 1234, and we should be able to log in. There we go. That's great. Now we can go to the settings, site configuration, root, and there's the password, which is a pretty big password, not a crackable password, blah blah blah. That's great. So what is the password for the root user? It's this. Tray Control C, paste it. Great, submit. Amazing. Now the user flag, which we had already gotten, which is this, Control C, paste that in, and now the root flag. For the root flag, we just need to authenticate into the SSH service. So let's try to do that. Let's paste clipboard, SSH. Oh, maybe we need to try it in here. Paste clipboard, SSH. The key is not known. Yes. The password for that is C that, and there we go. Now let's ls, and there is the root.txt, so root.txt, and we have the final password or the flag. So copy selection. Let's go back. Paste it in. And that is it. We have successfully pawned machine unified, which is one of the last machines in the free version of tier 2. From next episodes onwards, I think we shall go through the machines that are available, which are not part of these tiers. So we shall be doing something like that and learning by doing those machines. So I think that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.